Hello and welcome to the reading from the Sacred Discourses of Agastya Balipadu from the book Agastya, the Siddha Principles. The last few weeks we have been talking about energy fields, chakras, but this week, today, we will talk about the centers of higher knowledge, as Sage Agastya has explained. We have talked about how the chakras are connected to the five primeval elements. And just to review that, we begin with the Muladhara Chakra with the earth, the Swadhisthana with water, the Manipura with the fire, Anahata air, and the Vishuddha with the space. So we'll keep this in mind as we go further today and explore more details about this topic, as Sage Agastya has explained. Sage Agastya says, normally there are three areas in a body where we can establish a connection with higher knowledge. The three are the Sahasrara Chakra, the Ajna Chakra, and the Anahata Chakra. Now, this is a new concept. We have always talked about, having life, but have we talked about how we acquire knowledge? Normally people think, okay, we read, we hear, and our mind understands, and we acquire knowledge. But we have understood in the last few weeks that knowledge is all pervading and no knowledge is new. And all we are doing is connecting to different frequencies and gaining that knowledge. So that is why they call it self-realization, because we are realizing what is already there. We are understanding knowledge that is already there. But then knowledge varies based on the levels or frequency. The more grosser the human frequency of the human who is in question, the lower level the knowledge is. They're more connected with the created world. They do not know more than anything about the superconscious or supreme conscious. They just know only about the created world and the world that is about history and science and geography, those things, and they equate knowledge to that. But we as spiritual aspirants know that there is something higher than all this. There is more knowledge that we can actually connect to and bring down or accept and open up a mind and a heart and accept it within and know it. And that is where all these great gurus of the current world who are now preaching, they're already at the higher level of knowledge where they're able to understand things. So let us understand what Appa says here. These three, that is the Sahasrara Chakra, the Ajna Chakra, and the Anahata Chakra, have a relationship with three different types of life forces. We get connected with a guru in the life center, which is the heart or in the middle of a chest. So now, what is Appa saying when he says there are three different types of life forces? Now, he has said there are three levels of knowledge and three different types of life sources, right? Let's first understand the three levels of knowledge. So in the Anahata Chakra, it is the intuitive knowledge. It is the knowledge that we are already having as a soul when we come into this world. So think about a child. Child is born. Other than the food and the water and things that sustain its body, what is it that makes it cry, makes it want something, makes it smile? So that is intuitive knowledge of the becoming aware of the created world. So if we go back to the Agastya Yoga Siddhanta, where we have talked about understanding the primeval elements connected to our chakras and the levels of consciousness, with the Muladhara Chakra, the consciousness becomes aware of itself as something separate from the absolute or supreme consciousness, which is the earth center. Then we come to the Swadhisthana Chakra, the sacral center, where the male and female principles come together to create a new life in the human body, or in the higher level, the absolute and the creative energy, which is Parashakti, are getting together to begin the concept of creation. Next comes the Manipura, where the consciousness actually is created through fire, or consciousness becomes aware of the actually happens, creation happens. And that is why in most of our religious texts, they say that creation happens through fire. So fire is the Manipura element, the primeval element connected to the Manipura chakra. So consciousness first becomes aware of itself as something separate. Then it gets ready to create with the male and female forces coming together. Then in the Manipura chakra, the creation happens. That is the level of consciousness. Then we come to the Anahata Chakra, which is the air element, where consciousness becomes aware of the created world. And that is what we are talking about right now. That Anahata Chakra is a center of energy where you feel intuitive knowledge that helps the awakened consciousness as a separate ego to understand the created world. Please pay attention to this. It helps the created ego, which first begins with the Muladhara Chakra, the primeval element of becoming consciousness of itself as separate, getting ready for the creative principles, getting the creative principles ready for creation happening at the Manipura level, and the consciousness becoming aware of the created world. There is a very serious or a very significant esoteric importance to this particular section. If you can understand this, you will begin to understand the whole idea of creation itself within yourself. But we will keep talking about it more and more so we can get more used to the idea. So when we come to the Anahata Chakra, creation, or the created principle, the ego, which has become separate as a separate identity, begins to understand the created world. And that is just the intuitive knowledge. Then Appa says the next level of knowledge is the Ajna Chakra. So we jump from the Anahata Chakra to the Ajna Chakra, which we already know is a center of higher knowledge. And this is the portal that opens when a spiritual practitioner is advanced. And that is where the guru and the disciple become one. The disciple attains the state of the guru at the same level, because at that time, all the higher knowledge about why creation happened, what is going on, all these higher levels of knowledge begin to make itself known to the practitioner. That is why the great gurus are able to explain a lot of things about the created world, because now they are at a higher level. They're not only aware of the created level world, but they're aware now of how creation happened, what all these things mean, what is energy, what is frequency, why things happen the way they do, what is karma. All this higher knowledge starts dawning to them, and that is what they explain. And that is what appeals to a lot of people in the world, because most of us are in the ordinary level, working only at the Anahata level of consciousness. But when we come to the Ajna Chakra level of consciousness, we are opening ourselves to a very expansive level of knowledge. Then we come to the Sahasrara Chakra. Now, what is the Sahasrara Chakra? We know that is the pinnacle of the goal of every sadhaka, because that is where supreme knowledge exists. So now let's go back to the idea of consciousness becoming separate as a separate entity or becoming aware of itself as something separate from the absolute at the Muladhara. The creative principles coming together at the Swadhisthana. The consciousness being created, becomes a created thing in the Anahata. Then, in the Manipura, then in Anahata, it becomes aware of its separateness and understands the created world. Now it is going to the Ajna and it becomes aware of why all these things happened. But you see, the cycle has started and it is going back up to the level where it goes back to the original area, which is the Sahasrara Chakra, where it understands why it became separated from the absolute. The understanding the whole idea of the fact that creation has happened within itself, this everything that we are seeing is within itself, that knowledge liberates the created ego. That is what they mean when they say the created ego connects with the supreme consciousness and becomes one with the absolute. I'm explaining this in a very simple manner. There are layers to this, but if you can understand this, then you'll understand that creation happens because of us, within us. The creation created and the creator are all one. So that is what Appa is explaining in this, that there are 3 levels of knowledge, or where we can assimilate knowledge. So when we at the Anahata, we assimilate knowledge of the created world. At the Ajna, we assimilate knowledge of the higher frequencies. And at the Sahasrara Chakra, we assimilate or understand all knowledge. That is supreme consciousness. Now, he also says there are 3 life forces. They have a relationship with 3 different types of life forces. So what are these life forces? At the Anahata, the basic, it is the life force that enables us to live in the created world. At the Ajna, it is the life force that enables us to open up to the level of the higher knowledge. At the cosmic level is the life force that is prevalent everywhere, which you have created as a creator, which is in you and everywhere else, and you become aware of that. So many practitioners who heal others are working at the level of the Ajna and the supreme consciousness, or the Sahasrara life forces. They are bringing in the energy of that cosmic life force and using that to heal others. That is why distant healing can happen. That is why healing can happen without using any tools of the created world. That's why medicine is not important at that level. That is why Lahari Mahashai could bring somebody out back to life. That is why Jesus could bring somebody back to life. That is why somebody who had leprosy became cured when they touched Jesus. That is how Lahari Mahashai could make somebody who was born blind have sight, because they worked from the level of that supreme life force, which has all the healing energy you need. That is why Ramana Maharishi could go through a surgery without any anesthesia, because he was able to disconnect from the idea of the life force at the Anahata level, which is connected to the created world. So this is what we are understanding in this very important chapter. Now, Appa goes on to explain that when you want to activate the Anahata Chakra and bring in the idea of devotion and love, which helps you understand the created world, pray to your Guru. He gives a beautiful explanation of the Manasa Puja and how to do it, and how to internally pray to God, how to perform a ritual within you. So for all of us who have gone through COVID, we know that there may come times when we are not able to go out of the house. And higher spiritual aspirants realize you do not have to go outside. You do not go to a temple. You do not go to a pilgrimage. You do not have to do any rites or rituals, because everything is within you. Use your power of imagination and pray or perform a prayer ritual within yourself. Why is it important to do this? Remember, feelings are the key that connects you to the soul. Why does somebody say, I feel a little worried about this? They don't know through the created world or the faculties of the created world or the tools of the created world that something is wrong, but the feeling tells them that something is wrong. Why is that? Because they're connecting with the soul that already knows everything. So, feelings and emotions are the most important things that we must pay attention to, because feelings and emotions do not depend on the senses. Or emotions do. I mean, when you listen to a beautiful song and you get involved in it and then you start crying, yeah, then emotions do. But feeling comes from within. It is that kind of an idea that beyond doubt, even though you're not able to prove it in a logical, rational world, created world. It is true. That is feeling. And that is your soul speaking to you. That is your soul showing the knowledge that is already within you. Because you become aware of a lot of things if you start listening to your feelings. That's why I keep telling people, listen to your feelings. The feelings will tell you what to do next, because that is the light within you. That is the key to the light within you. So Appa goes on to say, perform and he's given a beautiful Manasa Puja ritual, which you can read in the book. You pray and then invite Ganga to come and cleanse you. And then the Guru at that time will come and he will reside in your heart and he'll give you higher knowledge and guide you. Now, then we go on to the next chapter, which is the Ajna Chakra. So what happened was, during the giving of the discourses, when Sage Agastya gave the discourse about the 3 centers of higher knowledge, and he stopped at the Manasa Puja, I was wondering why he did not talk about the 2 other centers and what we need to do about that. Until last week, when I realized that his timeline is different from ours. The next 2 consecutive chapters or discourses he gave were actually part of the main chapter, the previous chapter that we just talked about. So in this chapter, the Ajna Chakra, Appa is giving the explanation of the second level of knowledge, or the second center of knowledge from where we assimilate higher knowledge. So he says, and he was addressing Vijay Lakshmi, wife of Gajaraj-Swamigal, who was writing down these discourses in Tamil, and he says, loving mother, that day I talked about the connection between the Guru and our heart. Its essence was how a disciple should invite his Guru and give him a seat in his heart. Now, why is this important? Because with feelings, with emotions, you can connect directly to your Guru. When you connect to your Guru's energy, that energy starts connecting with yours, and the exchange of information is faster. His knowledge starts seeping into you. That is why I say, when you're reading any spiritual topics, when you're reading something written by a highly spiritual person or given by a highly spiritual god or guru or rishi, their energy is connecting with you. When Yogananda said, if you feel disconnected with the teachings, if you feel disconnected with God, read my self-realization fellowship lessons. And I was wondering why at that time. But now I understand, when you start reading those words, that energy is again establishing a connection with you. So you have a key. You have 2 keys now. One is you can read these books. Another is you can listen to your feelings to connect with higher energy or higher knowledge. Then he says, this is the time for me to tell you about 2 other things. Currently, the area between the eyebrows, which is the location of the third eye of Paramashiva, is being referred to as the Ajna Chakra. However, Ajna Chakra is located at the third eye. Above the third eye is the Soma Chakra. Now, Appa saying, in a lot of people, including me, long back, I thought the Ajna Chakra is here, which is what we see in the pictures of Shiva. But Ajna Chakra is actually between the eyebrows. Above that is Soma Chakra. And there is a reason for that. Now, we know that we have 7 principal chakras in the human body that everybody knows, right? We've already talked about it. But between the Ajna Chakra and the Sahasrara Chakra, there are 8 chakras. One of them is connected to the Soma Chakra. It is the Soma Chakra. And as I was reflecting on all this, the knowledge that I've been given, which I'm hoping to one day write another book on, is the Soma Chakra is the area where you perform the Agnihotra ritual. The sacred Agnihotra ritual, which people perform outside for the created world, can be performed within you at this level. And there is a way to do it. Anyway, let's go back to what Appa says, which is Ajna Chakra is between the 2 eyebrows. The area where the Ajna Chakra is located is the seat of wisdom of man. So we have talked about the 3 centers of knowledge, but the main seat of wisdom is the Ajna Chakra. So all the gurus who now are preaching have already ascended the Ajna Chakra. So it is in the anterior portion of the brain. So it is more in the frontal region of the brain. When this sacred eye opens, it can give knowledge or it can emit and hurl tremendous fire. So basically, if you look back at what is Appa saying, if you look back at our legends and histories and Puranas, everything in the Purana has a significance. They hid esoteric truths in every single story of the Purana. The ancient rishis hid esoteric truths in the symbols, in the manner, in the created things that the gods are shown holding, like the trident. In the same way, they also have a story of the Shiva using his third eye to burn karma or lust. So Appa is talking about that. So when you open the seat of wisdom, you can bring in tremendous knowledge, and it also has the power to destroy. But in what is it destroying? Because higher knowledge can only destroy that which is not necessary for us. It destroys all our lower tendencies. So if a guru is highly realized, karma or the idea of physical pleasure is completely gone. It's destroyed. So such a guru cannot go and get into scandals, because it shouldn't happen. If he's truly ascended such a level, that should never happen, because that knowledge will destroy lust. One of the major things that keeps most of the spiritual aspirants tied to this human body. It is this that gives us a whiff of the knowledge that is outside us, like the scent of the flower blossom that is picked up and spread by the wind, and like falling snowdrops, says Agastya. So he says it's Ajna Chakra that gives us a whiff of the knowledge that is outside us. Just like there is, a flower blooming and the scent is all pervading, and you smell it and you're like looking for the source. That is what most of the ordinary mortals are doing. They are trying to find that source. And because they're not able to find it within themselves, they are seeking it through gurus or teachers who are explaining things to them. Even though the light comes from the sun, we can only see and experience the light, but we cannot see the sun. Similarly, knowledge of the Supreme God is spread all over the universe, the sky, and the world. It is only a few that have the mastery to contemplate, receive, and assimilate this knowledge that is spread all around us. So let us understand this. Even though the light comes from the sun, we can only see and experience the light. So we cannot see the sun. Have you ever thought of that? We are seeing the light of the sun, but are we actually seeing the sun himself? No. That is what Appa is saying. Similarly, knowledge of the Supreme God is spread all over the universe, the sky, and the world. And we know that. We have learned this in Agastya Padu, that knowledge is a micro material that is all pervading. It's all over. That is what we are connecting with. That is why something that was discovered in India in the ancient days was also discovered in the Mayan civilization in the ancient days, because they are all connected to that same level of energy or frequency of energy. That is why when somebody challenges, hey, this has been already said by somebody else. Yes, because they connected to the same energy that this person is connected to. That is why all the great scriptures of the world are the same in essence. What differs is the difference is only because of the person who is from the created world, who is receiving it and who is giving it. That is what changes the whole idea. So that is why, even though Buddha is talking about, things that are not very Hindu in terms of how we understand Hinduism, he's essentially talking about dharma. Hinduism is a dharma. It is based on dharma. All great scriptures and religions are based on the basic knowledge of dharma alone. If we understand all this, then we have another key. Dharma, or righteousness, aligns our energy to the energy of the cosmic world. That is why a righteous man like Gajaraj-Swamigal was able to connect easily to higher knowledge. Now we understand the importance of why Agastya keeps talking about change the way you behave, change your thoughts, change your words, correct yourself, walk on the path of Dharma. It is that important. All the sitting and meditating, all these asanas, none of those are necessary for a man who is able to walk on the spiritual path, understand this higher knowledge, understand why he's suffering and why others are suffering, and he sets in motion the energy that will make life better for him and those around him. He is aligning to the cosmic consciousness already. So a Siddha does not need to go through all these processes to become a Siddha. He becomes a Siddha because he understands this key principle. That is why it takes millions and millions of births for many people to come to that level, because they understand this slowly, one by one, through suffering, through knowledge, through practice. And finally, they come to a level where they understand it's like a spark. That spark is lit, you have liberation. You understand. It's that easy, yet it is difficult. Why is that? Because Maya, illusion, that illusion that was created when the soul began to perceive itself as separate from the absolute at the Muladhara and became created in the Manipura and still exists in the Anahata level, is still caught in the idea of the ego or the I consciousness. Why then does Christ say, love everybody like yourself? Because we are all connected. We are all the same. Why is it that all of us, if this is all Maya, why is it that all of us are experiencing the same thing? Because we are all connected. Each one of us is connected to this same supreme consciousness. It's just the levels of connection is different. Most of us are operating in the same level where we are seeing all this created world. But at a higher level are those like Babaji and Lahiri Mahasaya and all those great masters who understood higher frequencies, higher knowledge, and were able to bring it back to us. So let us continue with what Appa is saying. It is only a few that have the mastery to contemplate, receive, and assimilate this knowledge that is spread all around us. And we just spoke about that. Then addressing Gajaraj-Swamigal, Sage Agastya said, it is the power to gain this type of knowledge that I'm now giving you. Everything that you are now saying are my words. These are the sacred words that are found deep in the universe. So nothing, no knowledge really belongs to us. It's already there. We've just developed the ability to connect to the higher knowledge and bring it and express it through the faculties of our senses, and also our organs like the mouth. We talk and express, and somebody else writes it down, somebody else hears it. But it all comes back to the one thing, which is everything is knowledge is all pervading. No knowledge is copyrighted to anybody. Supreme knowledge is not copyrighted. It is available for everybody. Then he says, I speak through you at times. At times you understand the truth that surrounds you through my grace. Sometimes the knowledge that you have read and experienced becomes a subtle part of it. A time will definitely come when you'll not have any thought in your mind, and I will speak completely through you. For this, you need the ability. That is what happens to a lot of people. They speak, but they're also connecting to the knowledge that is around them through the grace of the Guru. They're also adding what they have understood and learned through their own cognition. All this comes out and is expressed. And that is why the truth, when expressed in the created world, differs from person to person slightly. Truth is the same. Truth cannot be, it's not different. But the expression of the truth changes because of all these different factors. So saying, Agastya gave this guidance that applies to all those that are keen on following the path of the Siddha. For you to gain that kind of ability, there must be nothing but spirituality in your mind, words, and actions. So all of us who are aspiring to go higher, let us remember this. There should be nothing but spirituality in your mind, words, and action. And if you see somebody who says they are highly developed, their Kundalini has flowered, and they're still operating at a human level, where they're talking about material things, they're discussing the news, they're talking about somebody, they haven't ascended that level. So to ascend that level, we need to purify ourselves. Watch what you're watching, watch what you're reading, watch what you listen to, and watch how you think. All these are important for a spiritual aspirant. In a short time, once you've completed all your duties, when nothing is attached to you, if you close your eyes and call me, then you will gain the power of having me speak completely through you. And is that something that only Gajaraj Swami could do? No, that ability is there for each one of us. All we have to do is open ourselves up. I used to stand in front of the altar and say, Appa, I am here, my body is here, use me. Let us first learn to serve Appa. Open ourselves up. They will work through you because this world needs it right now. If you have seen the smog in Delhi, if you've seen the massacre that is happening in the Middle East and other countries, because in the name of war, things are not going to become any better. If you're looking at the piles and piles of junk that we are creating and that is being dumped into the ocean and in the landfill, we are not stopping. Humanity is, as Appa says, rushing pell-mell towards destruction, self-destruction. And that is what we are trying to get out of. As spiritual aspirants, as long as we are alive, we'll do what we can to help the world. But let us understand that we have the key to escape the cycle of birth and death. We don't have to come back to worse times on earth. It is that important to understand this at this time. And that is why it is that important that all of you become lights. You're all capable because you are all made of the same thing. The same absolute energy that is in me, in you, in the gods, in gurus, it's in you. So use that. Become the light that spreads knowledge. It is very important for the world right now. Then this sage commented, in a state of excitement, I digressed from the subject that I had begun. That is good too. And now let us see why the Ajna Chakra is present. Now, that is another whole subject matter in itself. So let us remember what we have talked about today. These are very important things. They seem very simple, but start looking at them, understanding it from your heart. Understand it from your intuitive level, and you'll understand what Appa is saying. And we'll meet next week and continue to talk about Ajna Chakra. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today.